in Chula Vista. I had served you for the last 8 years as your city council member. I moved to Chula Vista in 1991 when I bought a home here. And my son Andrew, who is now going to be 20 years old, attended St. Pius X and then graduated from Otay Ranch High School. And I've got a 2-year-old, Rocco, who is he's a wonderful kid, and Chula Vista is a great place to raise a family. I want that for the rest of the 80th district. We have some areas in Chula Vista that have challenges, but as I drive around the 80th Assembly District and I talk to neighbors and I talk to people that I hope to represent, they tell me about the struggles they have in their neighborhoods. They tell me about the problems with unemployment. They tell me the problems with gangs. And just the other day I was walking, last week, I was just walking and I was in South San Diego and I knocked on the door of a gentleman who I'd never met before, and he said, "Oh yeah, Steve, my family's voting for you." And I said, "Well, can I ask you why, sir? Because I've never represented you before." And he said, "You know what? I have family lives in Chula Vista. We shop in Chula Vista. We believe Chula Vista is a very well-run city, and we wish that our area was as well-run as Chula Vista is. And if you can represent us like you did the people of Chula Vista, that's the kind of person we want in Sacramento. Somebody that's going to be there for everybody in every neighborhood, in every walk of life." Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Caden Davis. I am running on the Libertarian ticket. A little bit of a background about me. I went to UC Davis with a degree in economics and an emphasis in accounting. I am a candidate for the Certified Public Accountant designation. And right after college, I spent a couple years doing personal financial planning for military families. And I also want to mention that I'm happily married to my wife, Jeanette, who's in the audience today. I'm currently working as an accountant and human resources manager and office manager. And I think I can bring a lot of my personal experience with finances and financial planning to the state level. Personal finances and state finances, they're all, it's just a matter of magnitude. And the main topics that I'm concerned about are taxes being too high in the state of California. It's causing a stifling in job creation. We have a 9.4% unemployment rate versus a state level, a national 7.6%, and I think we need to change that through lower taxation.
Hi, my name is Lorena Gonzalez. I grew up here in San Diego County and attended public schools, and then had the opportunity and worked my way through Stanford University, got a master's degree at Georgetown University and UCLA Law School. But when I finished law school, I knew that what I wanted to do was give back to my community. I ended up in the Lieutenant Governor's office serving on the State Lands Commission and Coastal Commission for about 6 years, serving to protect our environment, develop economic opportunities, and pursue a better future for all of California, in particular here in the South Bay. I came back to California, to San Diego, into this area in order to be a worker advocate. And in that role, in the past 6 years, I fought for living wages and health care. I fought for better jobs and better way of life, not for me, but for all of us. Because I know that people, all they really want is what my mother wanted. The opportunity that their children could do just a little bit better than them. I think the 80th Assembly District deserves somebody in the Assembly who is going to wake up every day and fight for ordinary people. Throughout my life, that's what I've done. I plan to continue to do that in Sacramento. And those of you who know me know I have a very loud voice. And I plan to use it to bring attention and resources to the very bottom of the state that has been neglected for far too long. I want to build jobs, good jobs, jobs that are self-sustaining and can help families overcome the situation they're in now and ensure that their kids have a better opportunity for a future. Thank you.
The reason I'm running is to to some of the issues that I'm concerned about. Probably start off with one of the first ones. Democrats tend to not have too much of a problem with killing a human being that hasn't actually seen the light of day yet. I have a problem with that. So Democrats need to be over there. We need to protect babies before they're born. Number two is, I also believe, as opposed to the Democrats, is that marriage is between one man and one woman. That's something that we need to adhere to. It's part of our culture. It's part of what makes this country great. Part of it's been in existence for thousands of years.
1 minute.
Excuse me?
Yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute left.
Okay. One of the other important things is the Christian religion has been getting knocked down by the Democrats. And that offends me terribly. Obama's even gotten up to saying that we're a Muslim country. We're not. We're a Christian country. You look at our laws and stuff, a lot of it's based on the Bible. My belief is if you take the Bible and you read it, understand it, live by it, you're living in paradise, basically. If you can actually stick to the wisdom that's in there and then live by it. It's not easy to do all the time. And the other thing is the economy. Democrats seem to believe you got to raise taxes and put regulations on everybody. And to me, that's just the wrong way to go. You want an economy that's growing, you want jobs for everybody, you got to make it so that taxes are low, reasonable tax rates actually produce more revenue for the government. It was proved by John Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, and a lot of folks have actually done that, lowered the tax rates, and away we go. Our economy gets better. Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't support the outright legalization of marijuana. I think that that's something that I understand is going to be placed on the ballot maybe in the next year or two, and the people of California will have an opportunity to vote on that. But frankly, we're talking about lowering the sobriety level for people that are driving from 0.08 to 0.05. There's a proposal on the table to allow bars to stay open till 4 a.m. I don't think that's the way that we need to put more money in our coffers in the state. I think what we need to do is we need to figure out how to get legal medical marijuana to the people that need it, to the people that are in pain, the people that are suffering. But unfortunately, what's happened is it's been abused, and we need to figure out how to make sure that we can get that drug to people that need it in a safe and legal way, and so that it doesn't affect adversely the rest of our neighborhoods.
I believe that marijuana should be legal. I also believe that hemp production should be legal. Hemp, a cousin of the marijuana plant, does not really have enough THC content that people could get high off of it. And there's something like 20,000 products that can be manufactured and created from hemp, including really great rope and etc. We currently import a ton of hemp products into the state, and if we legalize hemp and we legalize marijuana, it would increase our revenues and it would lower our expenses, and it could be regulated with age restrictions. It's easier for kids to get marijuana than it is for them to get cigarettes or alcohol. We could do a better job of keeping neighborhoods safe by legalizing it and restricting it the way that we do those other legal drugs.
Well, I think that the question of legalization is one that has to be put to the voters, and it was in Washington, and that's why they're now looking at that as a revenue source. As a daughter of a mother who passed away after a long battle with cancer, I'm fully supportive of the measures we passed in California for medical marijuana and think we need to uphold those. I'm also supportive of Mayor Bob Filner's plan or intention to tax dispensaries. I think that we do need to look at that as a form of revenue, and perhaps a directed form of revenue to deal with addiction issues. So I am supportive of that. I do think this question needs to go to voters, because I think if you don't do that, there's no way to accept broad responsibility for whatever we do. That's what happened in Washington, and I would support a measure to go to the ballot. On the other hand, I do have to say, as the daughter of a 17, or the mother of a 17-year-old, I think what was Kaden brought up is true. Unfortunately, the existence of and the availability of marijuana in our schools is beyond that which anyone could imagine, and something that we need to address as well. So I think if we're going to pursue that we need to look at tax revenue directed towards addiction and education and exposure.
One of the issues I run on, but I know we have one of our local Republicans, Brianna Bilbray, has been advocating use of marijuana because she has had some real problems, with cancer problems. And I know Brian Bilbray, her dad, has been having a problem with the issue too. He's been pretty much against it. And I know it's not good for your brain. I wish people would, talk about it more and what it does to your brain when you smoke this stuff. And you definitely have to keep it out of the hands of kids. To me, that's keep it out of the schools and stuff. Restricting adults from using it in a medical situation, if a doctor gives you a prescription for something, you should be able to get it. I don't see a problem with that. Open up, I don't know, I'd probably, like Lorena said, just give it to the voters and let them decide. It's sort of an issue that one person is not going to be making the determination on it. Something everybody needs to decide and think about. It's something we need to discuss, and people need to know what that stuff does to your brain when you smoke it, because it's not good. I'm sure of that. I've known folks that have smoked it. I guess about 30 years ago, I know I tried it. It was not good stuff, that's for sure. It's been a long time, I know that. You're not one of them. Oh yeah. And it's not good. It's like I can remember when I did inhale that stuff. And was buying that stuff. How the hell am I ever going to get off of this stuff? I can remember saying, I did. And it's like, we got to leave that stuff alone. So I used to smoke too, so I don't smoke anymore either. But people have to realize how bad this stuff is. And definitely, my belief is if you can stay off this stuff till you're 18 or 21, you'll be able to stay off it the rest of your life. And you actually live better and your life better and you're not mixed up with all of the drugs. The drugs have even the alcohol's not that good for you. So, thank you. Wow, gun issue is one of the things I'm running on. I believe that the Second Amendment is probably one of the most important ones we got. It's sort of the key issue. If we lose that one, we lose all the rest of them. It's there to protect us from tyranny from our government. It's basically why it's there. It's also there to protect us from criminals also. We have a right to self-defense. And that's sort of crucial. If we lose that, which I know like the UN and those guys are trying to take that away from us. Any dictator would like to take that away from you. I know I started looking at this litmus test when I looked at a candidate, and if they're against me having a gun or any of my friends having a gun or anybody else having a gun, I wonder about why do they not trust us? Why don't they trust us with a gun? And if the candidate doesn't trust us with a gun, that means I don't like that either. And the fact is, if the candidate doesn't trust himself enough to be doing the right things, he's afraid somebody's going to shoot him. And maybe I don't trust him either, because somebody that believes in themselves is going to believe in other people also. And I'm at the gun range twice a month. I'm an range safety officer, and I go out and talk to guys who have guns. Is it over?
Yeah, we're at 1 minute.
Well, I believe in the Second Amendment, and I think that the right to own a gun to protect yourself or to hunt is essential. And if Lincoln can pass a background check, which I'm sure he can, I would think that he should be able to own a gun. My concern is that people in any situation where they're buying a gun can pass a background check, and that we're not allowing folks, especially those who shouldn't be owning a gun in the first place, and we, I think, can all agree that there are some people in society who shouldn't be owning a gun, that those folks don't have unfeathered access to multiple weapons, to assault weapons, and to bullets that could destroy school children and police officers. So I think there is a way to balance the Second Amendment with the safety of our communities, and I think that's what I would do as a legislator.
I believe in the Second Amendment as well, and I believe in it a little bit more strongly than Lorena, in that I believe that it shouldn't be infringed upon as it's stated in the Constitution. I don't think California has a lack of gun control laws. I think we could relax the gun control laws in this state by a large margin. The amount of ammunition per clip or the ability to get certain types of weapons shipped to California, the restrictions are too much. People have a right to defend themselves, and people have a right to own as much ammunition as possible. If they're planning for the worst possible situation, then they want to be able to have enough ammunition to hunt for a decent amount of time, and we don't allow that to happen with the amount of restrictions that we have right now.
And I'm not going to differ with the rest of my opponents here. I support the Second Amendment. I think that it is a fundamental right based on the law of this country that we should be able to bear arms. But having said that, I think that it is very important that we understand that there are some people, convicts and those that are emotionally or mentally challenged, that should not have access to weapons and should be prohibited from having them. So we need to really strengthen our efforts and programs that ensure that people that cannot either emotionally or mentally handle a gun or cannot be trusted with one because they may do something, unfortunately, what we read about all the time. We need to strengthen those laws. I think those kinds of things are going to have more effect in reducing gun violence in this state and this country than anything else we do. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the rates, but one of the weird things I see out there is normally you have a business which work on a market situation. The more you buy, the lower the rate is. Electricity, it seems like the more you buy, the higher the rate gets. To me, that's a little ridiculous. But these guys, produce the electricity that we need in order to do the jobs that we need to have done. We've got solar working now. At least there's some competition to the electric companies, but they're actually now, my understanding is the companies now want to charge you for having solar and feeding money feeding electricity back into the grid. They should be paying you to put money back in the grid at a reasonable rate. And when you have a solar system on your house. So in my opinion, we need to put it back in the market, maybe get a little more competition out there. SDG&E doesn't really have any competition. A lot of these companies really don't have no competition. And they need to do something to get competition, because when you get two companies vying for stuff, price comes down, service gets better, quality of the product is better. So I'm a free market guy myself, so and I believe that the market produces it. Now, you don't have totally free markets because there's always some regulations, there's always some guy out there trying to cheat you out of something. But so long as you're doing what's right, that's the main thing.
So I'm not sure if I know which bills exactly you're talking about, but there are a lot of rate regulation bills out there and a lot of issues dealing with electricity. There are two issues, and I think Lincoln really hit on one. SDG&E has basically a monopoly, and we have to ensure that as we increase solar, that we're not disproportionately charged for that. On the other hand, when we're basing rates on consumption, there is a very real issue out there. If you're very wealthy and live along the ocean, you can pay for solar, and you can reduce your rates as you reduce your consumption. However, if you don't own your home, or perhaps live in an area where you don't have the availability or the money to put solar on your rooftop, you're suddenly subsidizing those $1 million mansions in La Jolla along the beach. That's a problem as well. So I think there needs to be fairness in rate restructuring so that it doesn't disproportionately hurt people who are poor, people who, as you move even inward to the valley in areas where there's poverty mixed with extreme weather conditions, and where people have to run their air conditioner and their heater, I think that's a problem. So we have to have a balance of fairness as well as tackling the monopoly from SDG&E.
The monopoly that SDG&E has on electricity is actually given to it by the government. So if we got the government out of the business of picking winners and losers, we would not even have this problem to deal with to begin with, because we would have the competition that Lincoln was talking about, and we wouldn't be faced with this problem. I really don't see the solution as more regulations to try to solve a problem that regulations has created.
Well, the last time we talked pretty seriously about rate restructuring was in the late 1990s, and we know what happened there. So we have to be very careful when we tinker with the sort of fragile nature of energy in our state. We only have so many transmission and so many distribution wires. We have only so many power plants that generate electricity. That is being slowed down in terms of the development because we are starting to see more rooftop solar that people are taking advantage of. And I do believe that the rates that are being proposed will penalize homeowners for putting solar on their homes and generating their own electricity are onerous and really kind of go against what we're all trying to do. And that is have our own certainty with respect to our own energy and basically continue to clean the air by not requiring gas or even coal-fired plants which some of us get our electricity from. But we have to be very careful that some class of ratepayer doesn't subsidize another class. Unfortunately, the tinkering that's been going on at the state level for many years is shown there is an inequity. And people that live in hot, arid areas do proportionally pay more, and they shouldn't.